I'm Alli. I came out after 20 years of marriage and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melisa and I have 2 kids and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles. Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles.
Hi, my friends.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good. I've just eaten some school lunch food, so my stomach should be exploding at any moment.
Exactly. I know. I signed up to bring food and not eat food at the
This was a full-on cafeteria meal. But they were like, I was one of the last 2 people in line. And so they were running out of stuff. So I didn't get the full course. And I just kind of ate a little bit. You could also look
at that as being the last person. You got the most touches.
I got the most germs out of it. So
I can't stand, I'm a really, I get grossed out really quickly. It's one of the reasons I don't eat meat. But when someone serves my food at a restaurant and I can see that their fingers are within millimeters of my food, we ate pizza one night and somebody was holding my plate and I could see her thumb was touching the pizza and I was done. Maria's you're seriously not eating. I'm I'm seriously not eating.
Oh,
it just skeeved me out. And she had long nails.
So it's even worse.
It was so vomitile. I just
do
it.
I mean, it's for sure. Today I was not a fan of having to participate, but I was I'll stick to the green beans.
Yeah.
You know, I know it was came from a can and it's good and petrified.
Right. I was feeling kind of you know how normally you feel guilty if you don't homemade, Paideia sent out something that was you can either bring homemade or you can bring store-bought, but you need to label it. So initially I'm reading this and I'm oh, they're judging the people who do the store-bought, they want it labeled, did you make this? But then I realized that they give the food to the homeless, basically.
Oh,
they don't want to give homemade. So then I'm oh my God, now I'm a rock star if I do store-bought. I'm
right.
And then winning.
Oh, nice.
Anyway.
How was Halloween? I don't think did you guys trick or treat or?
Yeah, Halloween was great. No issues. And then I did my race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It's over and done, and it was great.
You did the New York City Marathon, right?
New York City Marathon, which I've done in the past. So it's not, but it felt all new to me because I did it with Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
It was super fun, super great, but I've come home and I'm thinking about this weekend, your party, I hurt my toe, my nail hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that's the only part of me that's suffering is this fucking toenail that's brutal.
Are you gonna lose it?
I can't tell. I keep showing Maria. She's please stop showing me your nail. I'm I have to have you keep evaluating it.
You need your boo-boos evaluated.
I do, because it's it throbs. It hurts so bad.
I can imagine. And you were running in brand new shoes too, right?
I had to run in brand new shoes. Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was such drama. So we're in the hotel. I'm we always get everything laid out before my daughter and I have done this many times together. We have a very strict system that we adhere to. And so before we go to the expo, which is the day before the race, there's an expo where you pick up your number, you just go to this thing. So we lay out all our stuff to evaluate what we still need, things I don't know, gel packs or whatever you might need for your race. So we're laying everything out. And I literally made a joke of wouldn't it suck if I forgot my shoes? Laughing. And then I'm digging through my suitcase and I'm did you take my shoes out? And she's
no. My God.
And I literally did not have my running shoes with my inserts, with
everything. That's
everything.
Huge.
It's huge. If somebody said, what's the one thing you cannot forget? It's your running shoes.
Right. You can get a new pair of shorts.
A new pair of anything.
Yeah. But not having shoes that are broken in. Ugh.
I know. So then I and
the right pair, the right brand, model, all that.
And just my inserts are they're mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at this point, like it's the day before, and I'm like, I'm fucked. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. And so Tate's like, we're definitely running. So are you just getting shoes? I end up getting new shoes, which I think were fine. But the issue is just for some reason my nail like got
Yeah.
it
I'm sure
doesn't
it had to do with not having
coming
it
off.
broken in.
Maybe, but it's like it hurts when I tell you so badly that it's like I can't believe I feel like my toe, something's horribly wrong.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so that's like
Well,
my drama. I lay in bed, like the blanket on my toe hurts.
God.
Yeah.
Well, we'll prop you up in the corner for my party.
Yeah,
And
prop me up in the corner. Prop me up in the corner. I'm literally like wrapping it. I'm just embarrassed too because it's ugly. So it's like, and I can't wear closed toe shoes. So it's just
yeah.
full drama
Oh man,
that I
that's
talk
brutal.
about
But you
incessantly.
finished. What was your time?
Do you know I haven't even looked because I know it was shitty. So I don't even want to know.
I want to know what shitty is in your book, because in my eyes, I'm like, if you finish a full marathon in 4 hours or under, then you're a total badass.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would say anything over, I mean, what am I going to say? Because there's people listening that probably have all different times, so I don't want to be rude, but my time definitely was not good. And part of it is that at mile 20, Tatum, who barely trains, like this is her just show up with
But she's
me.
just young.
She's young, she's fit,
She's
she's
new
fine as
knees.
always. But it's always her that like towards the end is like struck, like she's very
Fuck
dramatic,
this.
like I'm done, like I'm laying down. And so mile 20, like the wheels came off and she literally was like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, like I'm done. And we do this dance every time. And I'm like, no, you're not, you're fine. And so that's when, like, I know our pace was good up until then, and then the wheels came off, but we ran the whole thing. We just didn't, it started to look very slow and bad by the end. But what's
Yeah.
interesting about New York City is that there's a lot of like older people that run it and just like, so you do feel like kind of an idiot when you're like, you should be faster than these people. And they're like,
Oh,
you.
that's got to be one of like the top embarrassing moments of my life. I did an Olympic distance triathlon.
Oh, sweet.
I was fucking dying. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had trained, but that's a lot of
Oh,
working
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like in the last part of it running I think it's a 10K run. And this woman, because in a triathlon, you write your age on the back of your leg and on
Okay.
your arm and stuff. And so this woman was like in her 70s and
Oh,
passing me.
I know.
And at the
What the
time, I think I
hell?
was 31. I was like,
Oh,
oh my God, this is
yeah.
fun.
It's
But
all training though. It's
it
like,
is.
like I consider myself in decent cardiovascular shape. Like I can run a marathon, but like if I go up 3 flights of steps, I'm huffing and puffing. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're fit for what you train for. And so I get it. Like if I had to go ride a bike uphill, I'd be dying.
Yeah, exactly. And also, who cares about the age factor? Like I just watched that Diana Nyad
I did
movie
too.
on
Yeah.
Netflix. Like holy shit.
Holy
Like
shit. I
when
know.
she was in her 60s when she did that,
I know.
and yeah, it's just like I think she's right too. Like she has the mental space to
Yeah.
accomplish it that time in her
It
life.
is. That's so true. It's like, it's kind of anything, mind over matter. Like you're not just going to like fall over if you just get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
keep going. You just keep going.
I also like that movie too because it had lesbians in it, but it was like a
Or,
very normal
yeah.
lesbian situation where it wasn't like they didn't make that like a big part of the story.
No.
Like it was just kind of like here they are.
Yeah, I agree. We just watched that 2 nights ago, but would you say it was like we started fast forwarding all the swimming? Like we were like getting like really
I
redundant.
did fast forward to them parts of it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we get it. She's
Okay,
swimming
we
again.
get it. She's swimming. And because I know how these movies are made, I know also that was all shot likely in
In a
one
studio.
section. So
Yeah.
it's also like, I just am like, they just keep playing more B-reel of swimming. And I just, yeah.
Like
we
change your
fast forwarded.
swimsuit. We'll get a different
Yeah.
boat in here.
Knock out in 5 minutes. I will say though that we're watching right now Pain Hustler, not Painkiller, but Pain Hustler.
Okay.
I'm obsessed.
Really?
It is so good. Like I'm Pain Hustler. It's got what's Blunt, Emily Blunt.
Okay.
She's a badass in it, but I'm not like Maria keeps falling asleep and I keep being like, this is too good to like keep playing. And so I keep like having to stop. So we're not through it. But
Okay, well, I'll watch that.
highly recommend.
Now, have I talked about this on the podcast yet? I can't remember. The show on HBO called, or Max or whatever it is now, called Naked Attraction.
No.
Oh my God.
Is it another reality?
It is a reality
Okay.
dating kind of thing. Let me make
Okay.
sure I'm getting the name right.
My friend does love dating realities.
Okay, so the catch is with this one, it's like a UK show,
Okay.
first of all. You see the person fully naked first.
Okay.
Like fully fucking naked.
Okay.
No,
like
no.
China's out. Bush.
Yes.
Out.
Everything.
Okay.
And at first they're like behind the screen and you see just like from the waist down. And like the person that's choosing is fully clothed and like looking at everyone and they're like getting up close.
Ah!
And like the camera's getting up close too.
To a naked penis.
Yes. And like some of them are like uncut, like, and I'm just like watching this and I'm wondering, how does a man ever have sex? Like,
yeah,
it's so ugly.
It's so ugly.
So fucking ugly.
Yeah.
But yet I keep watching the show over and over again.
I don't understand. Help me. Like, what's the premise?
They're saying like basically like you're jumping ahead to the part where like things can really go awry in a relationship physically. And so if you're it's I don't really buy into the whole premise.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm like, no, you need to like know someone. So like as the show progresses, like they show more. Like then you see like the chest and they talk about like the chest and the stomach and if they're in shape or like that they like people that aren't in shape and stuff like that. And then they show the face. And as they're progressing, they're like eliminating people based on these factors.
Eliminating people based on
like I don't like
bush,
the way that that person has too much bush. I can't do that. And then it'll like raise up and people will be like, oh, that person's like in too good of shape. Like I can't keep up with that kind of like body image. Like I'm gonna kick them out. Okay. And then they'll show the face and like have them talk a little bit and then they'll narrow it down to 2 people. And then the person that's choosing has to get naked and like show themselves. And like the amount of anxiety I have watching this show, I'm like, there is no fucking way.
No.
My self-esteem would be like crushed by the end of the show. Like
well,
I cannot.
Also, like, don't you just know there's going to be like, my brain would be saying, okay, the uglier the penis, probably the hotter the guy.
You think?
Like twist it. So
I don't know.
That there's oh God, Gwyneth Paltrow had that show where she had the sex expert.
Yeah.
And they were showing all these different vaginas and how different they all look. Like some are like tucked in, some are
this is the same thing. Yeah. And for me, and maybe this is just massive proof of my gayness, like I'm looking at the vaginas like, oh, okay,
they're all nice.
All nice. The men though, I am literally like, how did I do this? Like I know it was dark, but like, is this
but are you really ever looking at the balls?
No. And I guess that's it. Like I definitely had my eyes closed.
Yeah.
Eyes
closed in the dark.
If you need confirmation on whether or not you're gay or not, watch this show. That could be a good step in pushing you through the messy middle.
Your litmus test. It's true. Like that is true. And you're right. Like nobody's are bad.
No.
People's boobs aren't bad.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I haven't seen anybody on there where I'm like, no. Like, I mean, maybe not my type or whatever, but no one where it's like revolting.
Yeah. No one's revolting.
Like the guys feel revolting.
Yeah. Or like if they're super hairy.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Oh, man.
I was like, the less hair, the better.
I gotta watch this.
Yeah, it's on Max.
Okay, got it.
So, uh, but yeah, I felt like we had a really good response from our messy middle request.
Yep.
And I feel for these people, man. Like I really do, because I reading these messages, and of course we get a lot of messages, right, that are talking about this, people struggling, going through this. But it started to hit me like while we had our messy middle, ours was very short
Yeah.
compared to some people. And really the biggest source of contention during that time was the fact that I started dating someone way too quickly. And she was the source of contention for me,
Yeah. It's
you
so
know?
true. Like I would say the exact same for me.
Like, and I think things would have been a lot more peaceful and maybe like pace time wise better had I not had this person pushing me to like make a decision,
And it
and
wouldn't be even like if it was like a normal I hate to say normal, but like if it was like a person that had just been supportive and hanging out.
right.
We had the explosive, toxic, not to their discredit, but it's more just like they were, you're right, so pushy and opinionated on my divorce, on my everything, that it became that was the source of stress for me. My messy part really had nothing to do with my ex-husband.
Yeah. And I remember thinking when like the divorce papers were finally signed that would like that part would be over, that like she and I would like finally have some peace in the matter.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen
No,
at
if
all.
anything, mine got worse.
Yeah. Like it felt like moving the goalpost,
Yeah.
like, and it was just like, okay, when do I finally hit this mark of like where you think everything's settled and good?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's definitely like one of the big reasons why I'm such a big advocate for people like being very cautious about who you're dating with those first relationships, because it's just so easy to get caught up in the feelings of it all and the excitement, and then next thing you know, you've got this person who's like really dictating
And I
your
think,
every move.
yeah, that's so true. And it's also like what I remember from group a lot of times is these women villainizing, and I'm not saying these guys can be complete jackasses, 100%. But I find you mentally have to villainize this person that you're leaving because it feels better to you to create a villain so that you can leave and be, with this woman and not have all the guilt and leave with a clean conscience, or leave feeling not as connected to this person anymore. It's kind of like when kids go to college, they tend to start to be in fights with their parents. It's like nature's way to like let them go. And I remember sitting in group thinking, wow, like this circle of women, everybody is looking to villainize him. And maybe
Hmm.
he's a jerk, and maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe you're a jerk. Maybe sometimes we're all jerks. Maybe they're hurting.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I do think sometimes when you have a catalyst that's a little bit pushy, it makes you start to create a monster that maybe is and maybe isn't there
With your
with your
husband,
spouse.
with your, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You know, I was given a book by my first girlfriend that was this book on narcissism. And she was like trying to act like that was my husband.
Yeah. Get out of here.
And I got like 10 pages in, not even, and I'm like, this is her.
And yeah, exactly. I was just
Like, what a weird
like,
play.
what a weirdo. Like, this is you.
This is
Oh my
you.
God.
Um, the
Oh
call
my
is coming from
God.
inside the house.
The call's coming from
You know,
inside.
the book was called "Why Does He Do That Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men?"
Oh my
And
God.
yeah,
Dying.
talk about fucking bizarro world. But
Yeah.
I think you're right though about the villainizing part, and I think people do this across the board. You
Yeah.
know, all sorts of relationships, both sides of it. The person that's doing the breaking up, the person that is being broken up with. It is the route to go to kind of save your sanity.
Yeah.
If you can villainize that person, it makes it a whole lot
So much
easier.
easier. Yeah.
You
He's a
know?
jerk. Thank God. Good riddance. I'm going to be better off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to say sometimes they are, but then I also think we're all jerks
I
sometimes.
mean, everybody's making dumb moves.
Yeah,
Saying
exactly.
your feelings get the best of you sometimes. You end up saying dumb shit.
Totally.
doing dumb things. Like, we're all humans and just trying to like get through this.
Exactly. And that's why I think like if you give yourself like space to kind of, I don't know, like nurture that primary relationship. It doesn't mean that when you're separated, if you guys are allowed to date, that's fine. We were, so I wasn't
Yeah.
cheating, I wasn't doing anything unlawful, but I guess I feel like if you have that conversation and then give them grace, like nurture that primary relationship, you will end up better off, because life is long and you're going to know this person unless you have no children and you're just moving on. This is somebody who's going to be important to you for the rest of your life.
And I think it's also, just easy to get ahead of yourself, and you want to like find someone else. So yeah, that dating thing gets exciting, but pump the brakes.
Yeah.
I that is the thing I would go back and tell my past self for sure during that time. It's like, pump the fucking brakes.
Yeah.
You can take as much time as you need and not spend every waking moment with this person who's demanding of your time and trying to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And they're still going to be there. Like, they may
Yeah.
be threatening to leave all the time, but they're not going to fucking leave.
Yeah, they're not going to fucking leave.
And if they do, let them. Let
Yes,
them.
let them. And let it be. Just keep it. It almost like builds the anticipation.
Yeah.
It's always going to be better if you pump the brakes. It doesn't mean
Right.
you have to not see them or get out of it. It just means be patient.
And I think people that we've heard from too with the messy middle part is that they are kind of torn between like leaving this person that they do love and that they've grown up with, that it's just this other part of them that they haven't explored in their life. And I think that is a really hard thing to like choose between.
Yeah, I certainly
it,
felt that way.
right. Do you choose between the safety and this person that's stuck by you, or do take this big risk and coming out and leaving her?
Would you say too, like I felt this sense of like I wanted her, but I felt like I was choosing between good and evil. Like I even knew then who was this is terrible, but like in that phase of our lives and probably what I created for her, it felt like he represented goodness and she represented.
Do you think though that's kind of also maybe plays into the whole like Catholic guilt thing though, of like she represented the evil because of like the church religious whatever views of being gay equals being bad?
It could be, but I also think like I always remember one time she told me to fuck off. And I always like it hit me where he would have never in a million years used those words to me.
Right.
Ever. I'm talking in 20 years. It never one time.
Right.
Out of his mouth. And I always remembered that. Like that was kind of again, like she said it, and at that moment everything changed for me. Like I thought to myself, I maybe I've created this in her, but I can't allow it. Like it's
yeah, for sure. That's where like I would think about that all the time too. Like we would be in these like nasty fights.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, I never fought with him like this. Never.
And there was never a disrespect. It was almost like, we had enough respect for one another that those words wouldn't have been said. Nobody ever walked out. Nobody ever,
right.
It was just like a kinder world I lived in.
Yeah. So maybe it wasn't even so much like the good versus evil thing. It was like maybe more like the person. And I think you knew that was individualized to that person, but not the coming out as an entirety.
Totally. And I think with my partner now, I remember with her, like I felt ashamed for my family, who are great judges of people and like humans and solid. I was very ashamed. Like I knew they would see
that was who you were bringing home.
Yeah, I knew they would see through the BS. And I felt like with my partner now, I was proud. So it wasn't like I was ashamed of being gay. It was more like I knew I was bringing someone to the party, to the family that wasn't our standard of.
Right.
And that's not to say, again, I probably caused this in her. I'm taking responsibility, but I knew that it wasn't good. Like I remember my sister was like, "We'll love whoever you love, And like, I know my sister, she meant that, but she was also thinking, dude, like, you can do so much better than that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing right now?
This is the one. This is the one.
This is what we loved our brother-in-law. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But she would listen to if she ever heard this, she would again be like, fuck off.
Fuck off. And see, mine would say that I was acting like a bitch. Not that I am a bitch, but you're acting
like a bitch. Yeah, my husband would have never said that.
Right. Never in a million years.
No.
Cannot imagine.
Cannot imagine. Good versus evil.
And I think that's just it. Like, you know, think about the standard of human that you want to date from here on.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know the answer. Don't act like you're not sure. You know if someone's good enough or not. And good enough for you. That doesn't mean they're not.
And making you feel good.
Making you feel good. So it's just, if you're quiet and honest, you know.
So we had one more messy middle to listen to. This one was submitted to us, so we didn't get a chance to speak to her, but her name's Molly, and she has a really good story to share. So we're going to let her tell her story.
Hello. I had known I was gay for my whole life, but I knew I couldn't be gay my whole life. I was raised in a conservative home in the Midwest, and we went to church every Sunday, and the neighbor had a daughter that came out when I was young, like 15, and my parents treated it like they had lost their daughter. She died. So I proceeded to marry 2 men and have kids. And then my husband at the time, my second husband, 5 years ago, we were on a trip and had met some women, and they invited us to a party, and we were excited we were going to go. And on the way there, he asked me if I was bisexual, which he had known. I had told him that before, but there's a reason. And when he asked me that, I was honest. I said, yeah, I am. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, like, I'm married to you. It's all good, you know? Proceed 4 years later, and I'm starting to feel that this is becoming something I can't ignore anymore. And he and I have a very serious discussion, and we talk about opening up our marriage, and we decide to, so that I can figure out if this is something that I'm really identifying with, or is it a fantasy, or is it a phase, right? Yeah, right. And so we did that. We opened up our marriage, and I found out that the entire time, for 4 years to here, was a test. He was testing me. See how loyal I was. And so when he had encouraged me to go see a woman that I was talking to in Kansas City, and encouraged me to go be intimate so that I could understand if this was something that I felt strong enough to make a permanent change in my life, like a big one. So I did that, and when I got home, he asked me if we were intimate, and I answered him honestly, and he told me that it was over. I had ruined the lives of my children. I'd ruined his life. I've ruined our family's lives. I was not loyal to him. I didn't pass the test. That threw me into quite the spiral. I ended up being in a psychiatric unit for 7 days, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. However, during that time, he felt it necessary to contact everyone in my life, my parents, and tell them that I had unresolved issues and trauma with them that I've never brought up. he called all of my friends and family, my boss, and told them that I was unstable, dangerous around children, cheating whore. So when I got out, I had him and one friend that had always seen through him, but had waited for me to see it to say anything. So I survived another 3 months living with him and decided I couldn't do this anymore. I had to get out. I had to leave. I had to figure out my life. And so after months of hard work and a lot of reflection and processing, I moved out. In hindsight, I know now that I was in an extremely abusive relationship with a narcissist. I had diminished myself entirely into pleasing him, and he took advantage. It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. Not even people that I do truly hate, which is only a handful. My relationship with my parents is apparently beyond repair, which I should have known, because when I came out, they showered me with love and praise and said that everything was going to be okay. Just to be followed up 3 weeks later with a letter that told me everything that was wrong with me. That I didn't take care of my lawn. I didn't take care of my children well enough. I didn't take care of my husband well enough. I was too concerned with sex. I was damaging everyone's lives, and I needed to stop being so selfish. And if you can't tell, I have narcissistic parents too. It was a lonely journey, but I knew I hadn't found me yet. And I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I went through it. Because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here today. If I wasn't strong enough to pull myself back from it, I wouldn't be here. But now that I am here, it's so fucking worth it. It's so worth it. I am surrounded by love and community and acceptance and just pure, unjudgmental love without any conditions. So I apologize that it's so long. There's a million other stories layered in there. But I hope that this helps somebody to know that there's another side. The middle sucks. There's no way around it. But there is an end. And it's really great.
Well, that was amazing.
Yeah, we're so appreciative that people are willing to share.
Yeah, total. I mean, I know that's just it. When we put this call out for people to share their messy middle, I was like, man, who's going to want to talk about this? Because for me at that time, I felt like I couldn't speak words.
Yeah.
And it is hard to like kind of reflect back on and think about. But yeah, I mean, I know some people have been through some really tough stuff. And like I said in the last episode, you and I got out relatively unscathed in this. And that's not the case for a lot of you. So losing friends, having to start over, like finances, all that stuff, it's terrifying for sure.
It is terrifying.
And it's really hard.
And you have to pivot, and like sometimes you have no idea what it's going to look like. And for someone like me who likes to know the outcome, and I'm very regimented that way, it's terrifying to even hear stories like that, because I know how that feels to be in complete, you have no idea.
Yeah. And we've said this in like previous episodes, like if only we could Google our future.
Yeah.
I think that's just it. It's like, we want to know how the story ends. We want to know that we're going to be okay, but that's like impossible. You don't know. And I mean, you do know that you'll be okay. Like no one's, dying, but like you want to know that you're going to be safe and secure.
It's true. And I think also I would say that like what you think might happen, it probably will look different than what you think in a really great way. Like it's sometimes I remember like that even vision of what it was going to look like morphed for me many times. There were lots of iterations of what I thought it would be. And then what it actually ended up being looks completely different than I could have imagined, better in so many ways. And I also want to remind people that I don't even know if this is like, who know, I don't know that I totally believe that you can just completely manifest something, but I saw a picture of my partner now years ago before I ever met her, and envisioned that I would end up with her or someone like her. In my brain was like, if I could just end up with someone like this, I would feel like I could do it. And then look what happened. I mean, it's like I ended up with the exact woman in the picture.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it is wild. Like, I think you never know.
You never know. And it also, I think for many of us that are coming out later, we're people pleasers, we've kind of have these like innate things within us that like make it harder to gather the courage to do this.
For sure.
And that part's going to take time. Like you don't just wake up and say, I'm gay and I'm leaving my husband and it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot of time to kind of like dissect and figure out how you got here and like how you're going to move forward and how it's not so scary. Like your body has to get used to the idea.
It's so true.
And sometimes it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. Depending on your life experience and what your parents were like, and were you raised in a way that was like, oh, whatever happens and you're fine. I wasn't.
Yeah.
So
same.
Yeah.
And I'm still scared, I still don't know what's happening. Like,
yeah. So I'm with you. Like, you just have to have faith. Something I'm not great at.
No, none of us are. I think like Mel Robbins is good having faith and stuff. That's like the one person on the planet. Everybody else is like, we're all going to die.
Yeah, we're all going to die. So, and we actually are all going to die.
I mean, we are all eventually, yes. Which I'm okay with because I think I'll be bored by the time I'm like 100.
Yeah,
I'm ready to leave now.
Yeah, the kids asked us the other day if you knew you could live for, I think they said like 10 more years or live forever. You could only live 10 more years or you could live forever. What would you pick?
Ooh, God, I don't know.
I said live forever.
I know, like I don't, 10 years isn't enough.
I know.
It's not enough time with my kids. That's crazy. How old is your oldest living relative or the oldest relative that you've had?
My grandmother died when she was about to turn 99.
99.
Yeah.
My grandmother was 102.
Damn, really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh my God, you're going to be around
so
really long.
I'm like, I better save some fucking money.
I know, right? Right? Get that Roth IRA going.
Right?
Oh, that's really funny.
That's the first thing that pops in my head is like, how am I going to pay for all this?
How am I going to do it?
How am I going to pay to be alive for that long?
That's real. My sister and I always have this thing where we're like, if you have money, I'll have money. Like we're kind of like community money, like depending on what happens, whoever ends up doing better. Like if you have money, I have money. So I don't know. I have a few little fallbacks. My dad used to always joke that like you should always make sure one of your relatives is like wealthier than you. Like
how do you make sure of that?
So he was always like, you should always have like one person that you're like in your family that could like bail you out if like you needed it. Like if you couldn't pay your bills, like he was half joking, but half serious. And so my sister and I were always like, well, that's you for us. So
I'm like, I'm afraid that family member is me.
Exactly. Oh God.
No.
No boy.
Where do I find a rich uncle?
I know, exactly.
Is this like one of those things where you find like the daddy, the sugar daddy,
Exactly.
sugar uncle?
The sugar uncle.
Like I just have to invite him to Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Yeah, just start inviting him. You're good. You're good. All right, my friend.
All right. Well, this has been fun, and I will see you Saturday.
Saturday. I'm starting to be just like a socialite around town.
I know.
And
my party doesn't start till 9.
What? I don't think I knew that.
You can come earlier. It's okay.
No, I'm kidding. I did not know that, but I'm happy to know that. I'll be there. Okay. 9 is still pre-bedtime for me.
It is. It is.
Gives me an hour and a half.
I mean, that's what happens when your party's held at a barbershop. So.
Oh, they're waiting until everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Okay.
She does clients pretty late. So.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. Well,
all right.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
All right, my friend.
Bye.
Bye.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandalli@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Alli, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.